Hi everybody, this is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I have a layout that I made for Mixed Media Mayhem. For this layout, we are scrap lifting a gorgeous layout that was made by Naomi McCulley. You should really check out her Instagram account. It's Memory Keep Art, all one word. She just has one gorgeous layout after the next. I was really inspired after checking out her Instagram page, and there are a lot of other layouts that I would love to scrap lift. The one that we're scrap lifting today has two clusters, one in the upper right-hand corner and one in the lower left-hand corner. It has some blue on a white background. There are also some large circles. So I'm starting out with a gessoed piece of 120-pound smooth white cardstock and my Stays On ink in jet black. I found that I had a number of circle stamps in my stash. I had never used them before, but whenever I used to see clear stamps and they were a good buy, and I feel like there was a period of time where I would see those a lot at AC Moore, which is a arts and crafts store that no longer exists in the New York area. I'm not sure where else it was, but I know that it was in New York and New Jersey. So I had some Fiskars clear stamps and some Kaiser Scrapbook clear stamps. So I used those on the background. I didn't have a clear stamping block that was big enough for one of the circles, so I had to just kind of have it half on the block and half off, but it ended up working out fine. The script stamp that I'm using, that is a stamp that I've been using a lot lately. It's from a Tim Holtz set that I purchased not too long ago at Joann's. It was one of those Tim Holtz sets that has a stencil and then a number of stamps. And most of the stamps were of mushrooms, but there was the script stamp and then also the dot stamp that I just used a few moments ago. And those are my two favorite stamps. I've been using them a whole lot lately. They're just really great background stamps. I wanted to add a few more circles, so I again used those stamps that I pulled out of my stash. I had a medium-sized circle, and then I found this small circle. The small circle has some words on it like inspire, believe, create. Since I don't have the same stamps or even the same size stamps as in the original, I'm not worrying about copying the layout exactly. I'm just trying to put the circles in the same general area as they are on the layout that we're scrap lifting. Now I'm going to add some color to the background. I love the look of the color in the background on the original. It looks so soft and nicely blended. I'm not sure what was used there. I'm used to using watercolor sprays, so that's what I'm using on my background. For the background, I use a number of different colors. I wanted to add some pink to the background. This is a Lindy's Starburst spray. The color is called Cotton Candy Pink. So I thought that I would start out with that, and I'm putting it in the same areas that I added the stamping to. I also wanted to add some blue, so I'm again using a Lindy's Starburst spray. And this time the color is called Tiffany Lou Blue. I just love this bright blue color. I think it looks really nice along with the pink. And I just kind of made up this color scheme. I didn't really have anything in mind before I started, but I like the combination of pink and blue, and so I thought I would try it out. I wasn't worried too much about the pink and the blue mixing together because pink and blue mix together to make purple. I wouldn't mind having a little purple on the background, but I did dry the pink before adding the blue, and the colors really didn't blend together. I tried to clean up a little bit of blue spray up in the top of the layout. I used a wet paper towel. It's funny how sometimes that will lift the color right off of the background. This time, though, that color wouldn't budge. I was thinking I could gesso over it, but then I forgot all about it, and in the end, I didn't even notice it. It just blended in with the background when I added a little bit more color to it. I'm adding a second layer of blue. I always like to add at least 2 layers of each color to the layout. I also love to add splatters. Earlier I added some pink splatters, and now I'm adding some blue splatters. Now I'm using my heat tool to dry all of the color that's on the background. I'm adding some droplets of water. this will help to lift just a little bit of color up off the background. I mention this every time because I absolutely love the effect. It's such an easy way to create some variation in the color on the background. Now I'm coming in with another layer of splatters and then another round of droplets of water to get more of that same effect. I really enjoy the process of creating these backgrounds. I really enjoy all of the different layers, and I think that they all add to the layout. I recently started using Inklings, which are made by Shimmerz paint, and I really am in love with them. They are very easy to spread. You have to add a little bit of water to the container that they come in. That activates them. I like to use the packaging technique, so I spread a little bit on the plastic. I use the plastic to move the paint around the page. I love the shine and the almost frosted look that they have, and they just add a really cool element to the page. The name of this Inklings is called Me and Blue. This color is a little more subtle than the other blue that's on the page, but I think it's a nice complement to that color. I continued adding this color to a few more spots on the background. Then I decided I wanted to add some texture. I could see, especially between the two areas of color on the original, that there was some modeling paste. I thought that this Tim Holtz stencil had kind of a similar effect as the stencil that was used on the layout that we're scrap lifting. I really like this stencil. It's kind of a messy looking stencil. It has irregularly shaped spots of all different sizes. I spread the modeling paste mainly inside of and around the edge of the two large areas of color, and I also did a little bit of stenciling on a few of the white areas, and I was following the original to get some ideas for where to put the modeling paste on the background. In the original layout, it looks like there are 3 photos. There's one slightly larger photo on the right-hand side and then 2 small photos on the left-hand side. I'm going to just have one photo. I'm going to use a photo that's larger than any of the photos on the original, but I'm only going to have that on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side of the layout, I'm going to have a number of embellishments, and I'm also going to add a title. Before I get started with the photo and the embellishments, though, I wanted to add some white splatters to the background. This is watered down white acrylic paint. At first, I was going to use a paintbrush and make some smaller splatters, but then I decided that I wanted to make slightly larger splatters. I don't know why I suddenly decided that, but I like the way that it turned out. Tapping on the lid that holds the straw will make larger splatters. If I wanted the splatters to be smaller, I could use my small paintbrush and then tap the scissors very gently against the paintbrush, and that creates smaller splatters. So I like to use both. It just depends on the background and the mood that I'm in. Now I'm going to start working on my photo. On the original, some corrugated cardboard was used. I thought that this would be a great opportunity to use up some scraps of black corrugated cardboard that I had in my scrap drawer. None of the pieces was big enough to mat the entire photo, so I thought I would layer them together. I didn't want the mats to just be flat black, so I decided to add a little something to them. Last summer at a scrapbooking convention, I purchased this product. It's called Glitter Kiss, and the color that I'm using is Golden Sand Kiss. I never opened it, but it was a little bit dried out, not too dried out that I couldn't use it. Because it was dry, it was a little bit thick. I have much bigger areas of gold than I expected to, but it worked out fine because since I'm only using this as a mat, there were just little hints of the edges that showed. I distressed the edges with my scissors. I think that in the end, you could see both the black and the gold, and I think it added a nice little touch. I'm layering my photo on top of the shorter corrugated piece, and then I layered the longer piece on the right-hand side. I've introduced gold to the layout, so I was thinking it would be nice to add some gold into the background. I also plan on adding some gold butterflies. I thought that putting a few dots on the background would help tie the gold into the layout. I decided to put it in just a couple of different areas. I decided on 5 areas, 3 on the right and 2 on the left. I used a clear dot stamp that was in my stash, and then I used a stamp pad that has adhesive on it, and I stamped it, and then I poured some gold embossing powder over the top and onto the stamped adhesive. And then I use my heat gun and I set the embossing powder. I can't recall the last time I made a layout using so little pattern paper. There were some banners on the original and I wanted to add some banners to my layout as well. I found this black and white paper in my scrap envelope, or one of my scrap envelopes, and I thought that this would stand out really well on the layout. I also found a beautiful spray of Prima flowers. I have a number of these sprays from quite a while back. Every once in a while, I use one, and I always think that they look so nice on the layout. Most of the work is done for you because the flowers are already placed along the stem, and you just have to kind of arrange it and attach it down to your page. Before I add the flowers, I'm going to attach those banners down. You could see that I cut a fishtail on the end of all of the banners. I'm using ATG adhesive to attach those down to the page. For the banner that's on the left, I cut a fishtail in both sides of the banner because you would be able to see both sides, although the bottom of this banner gets mainly covered up, but I didn't know that at this point. Now I'm going to start adding some embellishments to the page. I have a little basket near my desk that has a number of assorted embellishments in it. They're embellishments that I really like, but they don't go with any collection that I have, and I'm not sure exactly where to put them. And I found that a number of those embellishments looked really nice with the color scheme that I have on this layout. Some of them are from Felicity Jane, and some of them are from Prima. The name of the collection that the Prima embellishments are from is Hello Love. A few moments ago, I added some gold butterflies to the page. Those are chipboard butterflies that I got a really long time ago from Michael's. I think they have the same or very similar chipboard pieces in Dollar Tree, but these are really old and I thought it would be a good idea to get them onto a page. So I used that same embossing powder that I used on the background and I embossed 3 butterflies. The title, Love You, is from a Felicity Jane sticker sheet. Then those puffy sticker sentiments that are below the title, those are Prima embellishments. I also picked out some Prima heart embellishments, and I've been adding those around the page. I have some embellishments on the page that are on the heavier side, like the big spray of flowers and the chipboard butterflies. When I have larger elements like that, I like to use some heavy gel medium. I like to use the matte finish, which means that it won't be shiny when it dries. I brush it on the back of the butterflies and I brush it on the back of that large spray of flowers. That will take a little bit of time to dry, but it will definitely hold those embellishments in place. It's a really strong adhesive. A little earlier, I switched the butterfly in the center and on the top of the photo. The one that's on the top of the photo now fits in that space a little bit better than the one that's in the middle. I continued to use the gel medium to attach the flower cluster on the lower left-hand side to the page. I added 3 flowers in that cluster. I wanted to make sure that all 3 flowers were at a slightly different height on the page. So you could see that the flower that's on the top left, that's a little bit higher than the flower that's on the right. And then the larger flower on the bottom is a little bit lower than the other 2. I just wanted to point out that that was my thinking. I try to put a lot of thought into exactly where I have the embellishments on the page and how they relate to each other. I also use a little bit of gel medium on the back of the title that says Love You. Then there was a little Felicity Jane charm that had a black and white check on it, or plaid. I'm never sure which is which, but I like the way that that charm went with the pattern paper, what little there is of the pattern paper on the layout. There's also a little tiny half circle that is a puffy sticker. It says Remember. That's a Prima embellishment. Now I'm using some gel glue and I'm layering up some of the Prima puffy stickers. There are some hearts that I thought would look nice with an even smaller heart placed in the center. I also added a little bit more of that script stamping to the layout. I just felt there were a couple of places that needed a little bit more stamping. Now I'm using some Finnabair heavy gesso and a really old paintbrush. This is a bristle brush. I'm dabbing the heavy gesso on the edges of the petals. I feel that this helps the flowers to look a little bit more realistic. They are three-dimensional, but I think that this just kind of highlights the dimension of the flowers. The photo that I'm using on this layout is of my younger daughter, Julia. She took this picture and there's the stream of light from the sun going across her face. And I couldn't decide if I really loved it or if I disliked it, but I know that she really likes this photo and I think that it's pretty cool and it's very different. So I decided to use this photo. I'm adding some pearls to the butterflies. I put a slightly larger pearl at the top of each butterfly and then smaller ones going down the butterflies. I also added some tiny pearls to some of the hearts that are on the layout. And now I'm adding some photo corners. I punched out 4 photo corners using some scraps of pink paper that I had in my pink scrap envelope. Then I used just the foam part of the dauber and I inked the edges just a tiny, tiny bit with some pink ink. Then I attached those down. I added a couple more pearls. This layout is complete. Here are some close-ups. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you very much for sticking with me till the very end. I really hope that you enjoyed watching the video. I had a really good time making this layout. I just love making the mixed media background, and I absolutely loved the layout that we were scrap lifting. Please don't forget to look in the description box and check out all of the videos of all of the Mixed Media Mayhem collaborators. They are an incredibly talented group. I'll be back very soon with another Mixed Media Mayhem layout. I hope to see you then. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.